Welcome back to another episode of Ruthless TV, where I break down the family business scene by scene. Now let's get into this video. The scene opens up with Cooch munching Curtis in the back of the cop car with LC, Junior, and Biscuit paying Curtis's debt in a whole lot of cash. We found out that Curtis was not responsible for the dead body that they found in the back of the truck on the last episode. Why was he at the truck anyway? I don't know, maybe this is X's truck, or he thought that it was X's truck. And we see here that Mr. Curtis don't have his nose clean. The cop referred to Curtis as one of LC's people, and LC corrected him. He said that he wouldn't call Curtis one of his people, but a problem. And Curtis was carrying a shotgun where the serial numbers were filed down or they were missing. I couldn't really figure out what the detective said clearly, but Biscuit paid him off and it was no longer a problem. Turns out it was Junior here that hired him and promised him $100K to find Brother X, who was in Alabama but now in New York. In the next scene, it takes us to a bar where we see Rio, Sasha, and Sonia. They're meeting up with a friend for drinks. I guess they're celebrating the engagement of Sonia and Junior. The bartender recognizes Sonia as her old babysitter from across the street. Her name is Melanie Green, aka Mel. Mel is in college and she's working as a bartender to make ends meet. And when Mel's friends came up to the bar, she gave them a free drink on the house. And then Sonia advised her to be careful because her friends look like trouble. And y'all might recognize her friend as Red from All the Queen's Men. He and his friend Quan are having a kickback and they invited Mel to join them. And in the next scene, we see Rio and Orlando. They woke up to a big breakfast smorgasbord and they were quite surprised to see the big spread because it was only Friday. And while they're trying to figure out who was responsible for the big breakfast, Orlando said to pass him some turkey sausage. When Orlando found out that his cousin Curtis was responsible for the fried eggs and the potatoes, he quickly spit it out. There is apparently some bad blood between these two, and I'm sure we'll find out later in the episodes what's up with cousin Curtis here and why O can't stand him. Then we move on to Omar here and Brother Minister. They're trying to join their two families together so they can take over. Omar is trying to mate his daughter in a matrimonial act, with one of the brothers to bring honor back to his family. They're both trying to gain majority control of the guild, and Omar had to warn Brother Minister that his daughter wasn't pure, and Brother Minister said it would not be a problem. Omar then sent her brother to the car to get his sister, and Brother Minister called the brother to the table, who is Brother Rashad, and the brother couldn't find his sister. He came back and he said that she was gone, and this embarrassed Omar, but he apologized. Then in scene number 5, we see London and Curtis chatting after breakfast, and it looks like part of London's storyline on becoming the Queen of Weed made it over to season 3, so we'll see how this develops. And London is a bit concerned that Brother X is out killing everything that's moving and breathing with the last name Duncan because her children have not been trained yet. Curtis told her that without the Brotherhood behind him, that Brother X is a non-factor. Then we cut to Consuela and Senior Cruz. He tells her that he has to go into town, but she begged him to let her go. He refused. He told her that he may have to pay her son a visit in Nevada, and she said that if he touched her son, that she'd kill him. Now, she's chained up in a rat-infested hole somewhere and threatening to kill somebody. But didn't she think that she killed him once before already? Consuela's been away from the free world a little too long because she's become delusional. She hears someone on the opposite side of the wall and asks who's there. The next scene takes us to Duncan Motors, where Detective Bryant stops by, and he dropped by to let them know that Brandi, Orlando's ex, filed allegations that Orlando is the manufacturer and distributor of a drug called Heat. He said that the officers at the station deemed Brandi to be mentally unstable and that they wouldn't follow up with it. He said that he managed to get his hands on the paper trail of the allegations, but he couldn't retrieve the digital trail. And this Detective Brian, we knew he was shady when he was standing there watching Donna on her morning run. He makes sure he keeps the Duncans in the loop on all the happenings going on at the station to make sure that he gets his stipend every time. LC warned Orlando to stay as far away from Brandi as possible and that he'd take care of her. Then we see Slick Sebastian here holding a meeting with Omar's son to meet with the assassin Sage on a murder for hire. He wanted to know if Hector was taken care of, quote unquote. She told him that if he hadn't been taken care of, that she wouldn't be there. And without hesitation, she asked him where her money was. He paid them both, and then he told them that he had another assignment that pays double. Sebastian took a look at the photo, and then he told him that he needed cash up front and more than double to carry out a job of that magnitude. They took the money, and then Sebastian revealed that it was his sister that he wanted them to kill. And Sage really didn't have a problem with it. She said that she couldn't stand that twitch anyway. Then we cut to Sasha surprising Brandi. She went over with Auntie Chippy to pay Brandi off. They agreed to give her half a meal, and Brandi agreed to get lost in San Diego, California. And Chippy gave her until Tuesday to leave. Now we're back in the Duncan household where we see Chippy having a talk with London, and Chippy's telling her how troublesome Curtis is. And London said that she believes that he's mellowed out a bit and she'll keep an eye on him while her and Nevada are away for a few days. And when she left, Curtis promised her that he'll stay away from the drama. Then we cut to Sebastian, Doll, and Baby. He told them that they couldn't tag along this time because he had a business meeting, but promised to pick them up after the meeting so that they could all go partying. Then in the next scene, we see Harris here holding a meeting with one of their clients, someone who normally meets with Orlando. And they're quickly joined by a lady named Raven. And Raven is apparently someone who Harris knows. Harris has been avoiding her phone calls and her text messages, so she decided to follow him from Duncan Motors. Harris told her to play her position, and she threw her bills on the table and said she's waiting on the car that he promised her. She also said that Harris needed to see his daughter. So, okay, Biscuit, we see you. You've been stepping out, huh? Clearly. In the next scene, it looks like Brandi took Sasha's advice because the next scene shows her in the club celebrating her last few days in the city before moving to Cali. Aries comes in and she inquires about Aries and goes in to make her moves. And she quickly took control of the situation and told Aries that she was buying him a drink and wanted to dance the night away because she's looking for something new. In the next scene, we see Sebastian calling Doll, and he tells the girls to put on something sexy and meet him at the bar. She went to tell Baby to get dressed and finds Baby in a bloodbath, literally, with her throat slit. And I'm not going to show the pictures here. It's too grotesque. Then to Doll's surprise, Dominique is there, Alexander's wife, and she grabbed her from behind and reminded Doll of the time that her and Baby pulled the gun on her. So now it's payback time. She gave Doll the same treatment that Baby got, and they both entered that big dollhouse in the sky. So sad. Now we're moving to London, England, where we see Omar, aka Baba, calling his son Armand, making sure that he carries out the task of having his sister killed. Armand, of course, wants to know if there's any other way to handle the situation, but Omar said no. She brought shame to the family and she's gotta go. Then we cut to Brandi and Aries, with Brandi talking about how good Aries' peen is, and Aries immediately let her know that he came to the club to offer her a job. He said he knows exactly who she is and called her Dr. Robinson. Now, Aries sat here and ran down her whole resume, all while he's kissing all over her shoulders. And she thought that Aries worked for the Duncans, but he told her that he's the executive vice president of Cora International, and he came there to offer her a job. After a quick Google search, she found out that Aries was legit, but she told him that she couldn't talk about heat, and then she tried to get up and leave. He then assured her that as long as she was with him, she didn't have anything to worry about, including the Duncan. See, this part, as long as she's with you, like, okay, so what if she leaves you? Then he's no longer going to protect her. I mean, he had to make sure that he led with that statement. In this final scene, we see Sebastian stumbling into the hotel room after waiting for the girls at the bar for over an hour. He pushed the bathroom door open and saw Doll and Baby dead. Sebastian was clearly hurt and he was in shock. End scene. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Ruthless TV. If you're a fan of the family business, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Don't forget to like the video and share the video, and I'll see you on the next one.